Well, welcome, Michelle Hoffman.
Thank you for having me.
All
Good to be
right.
here.
Let's talk about waking up your creative dreams because, as I understand it, that's the theme of your debut novel called The Second Ending, right?
Right,
Tell us
right.
about the story. What's that story about?
Well, the second ending is about a former child piano prodigy, and she had kind of that same trajectory of all child stars. She kind of rose up high and crashed and burned. And her grandmother, who was her manager, exploited her and took all of her money. So the novel starts when Prudence, the main character, is having a midlife crisis at the age of 48. And she feels like there's something in her that's always been there, in that her childhood, she's been defined by this child star, this circus-like atmosphere. And so she feels like she wants to prove herself a true artist. And to do that, she goes on this dueling piano competition. But the journey to get there is really the meat of the novel. It's letting go of your insecurities. It's chasing a dream. It's letting go of things that have kept you down in the past. So there's a lot of growth there. And so we watch her self-actualize, which means she's risen to her full potential. And the book, I wanted the story to inspire people to self-actualize, to fulfill their potential. And Prudence was a genius and a prodigy, and she has fears and insecurities. So if someone with an enormous talent has those same insecurities, then, we're not alone in that. So that's pretty much the message and the theme of the novel.
Yes, yes. And her husband has his own dreams, and so does Alexa.
Yeah, I think a lot of characters in the novel all have a dream, just like all of us have a dream. And I think when we get to middle age, when we get to adulthood, we sort of abandon dreams of our youth. They seem silly, but they aren't. We all need a dream. We all need a reason to get out of bed every day and have that daily satisfaction with our lives.
And yet, we have people who come in and try to thwart us, like Bobby Wheeler.
Yep. And Tamara Quigley. And those characters are in there specifically for that reason, that, yeah, we've all known someone in our life who maybe not as overt as those two characters, but that kind of make those little comments that, oh, come on, and I wanted people to see it's more about them than you. So, yeah, so everybody's got an obstacle, but,
That's right. That's right. Well, what brings these two artists together? Because Alexa, am I saying
Alexa
is also a musician. So how do those two get together?
Well, and the thing about Alexa, so I kind of explored nature versus nurture here. So, Prudence was this immediate talent, and Alexa had to work at it. And Alexa is the host of the dueling piano show, and he becomes Prudence's competitor. And he has his own problems. And I wanted that to be a juxtaposition to Prudence, and how they both prepare for the stakes get higher and higher and higher as the novel goes, so that they both absolutely have to win this competition. And you never know who's going to win it.
Yeah. Right. We're not going to tell them that.
No.
You draw heavily from your own life as a musician and also a journalist, but when did you begin to see, hear, and feel the music in your own life?
Well, I wasn't a prodigy, but I was always very musical. My mom, she enrolled me in this Yamaha piano class for little kids, and I think I was barely 5, if even, but it was set up for children. And I absolutely loved going. And I don't know if Yamaha is still around or if you're familiar with it, but you sing and play the notes. And you got a little kit. Every kid got a little keyboard, and you got a little piano kit, a magnet where you put the notes on. So early on, my ear was tuned into music. And I learned to read music before I could even read books. I knew, where the notes were on I could
Really?
yeah. I mean, that's how, when you're that young, it's just, it's like a foreign language with a little kid. It just fuses into you. So I've always played. It's always been a part of my life. I'm not a performer. I don't join bands or anything. I just like to create music,
And you also spent years writing for Arizona Republic, and you interviewed the award-winning playwright Dale Wasserman.
I think he won the Tony Award.
He said something to you that inspired you. What did he say?
He said, and I loved the interview. It was just life-changing, and he was just such an engaging man. He was 94 when I interviewed him, and he said, so Man of La Mancha was the play, and I'm sure you're familiar with the song The Impossible Dream. Yes. And in the 60s and 70s, it was everywhere. And so when I got to the interview, I said, can you tell me, what's that song about? And he said, everybody gets it wrong. An impossible dream is just what it is. The goal is not attainable. It's the dream that engenders the person dreaming it. They're driven. They won't give up. And I loved that. I mean, after I left the interview, I got really emotional, and I was like, where's this coming from? But it was almost like it just triggered the dream of, I'm going to write this book. And at nearly impossible odds, to get published. But I woke up every morning excited about, writing this book. And there was a great satisfaction, that 2 hours early in the morning. If the writing went well, I didn't care what happened the rest of the day. So, and I think it's because, and everybody doesn't have to be a writer or a musician. It's like whatever you want to do. I really feel strongly about that you should gravitate toward what you desire to do and what you dream to do. So that's pretty much what happened. I just was inspired by what he said. And 2 or 3 days after that interview, he passed away.
Yeah. Mm.
And I think, though, that was just sort of this auspicious moment that these were going to be his last words, and they would carry on, in this novel. The whole idea would carry on in this novel. So I think he would be happy if the interview inspired him.
I think he would be very happy. You also quote Isaac Stern as saying people who have a God-given talent are obligated to share it. Is that true in your own life?
I feel very strongly about that. I think someone with a talent can do a lot of good, can affect all of us, whether you're a writer, whether you're a chef, whether you're a painter. If you can do it and inspire people. And, I think it's really important that we embrace our talents, whatever it is. So there is a character in the book, and we won't talk about him, but at the end, he embraces his talent at the end. And it's not anything magnificent, but it's his talent. Right. So he's in there for that.
Okay, and Prudence says talent is nothing without being nurtured, and I love that. Who nurtured you as a writer?
Lots of people. I had a few really key instructors that believed that I should be writing. There were a couple college professors like 100 years ago when I was in college, but they said, you know, you really should be writing. And I was like, oh no, I'll never make it as a writer. But that was always in there. And I do think though, like I had a few key instructors that nurtured it, that said, you can do this, so do it. And we all need that. We need someone to believe in us.
Right.
It's a big part of the novel.
You know, as Prudence says in the novel, oh, nobody wants to listen to me. And I'm wondering, do you feel that every writer feels that they're sort of an imposter? Or
Yeah. When I was writing this book, I mean, way in the beginning days, I was like, oh, no one's ever going to read this. And then when I got my publishing deal, I was like, oh my God, they actually think I can do this. So yeah, big imposter syndrome, but that's part of it.
Tell us a little bit about your publishing journey. How hard was it for you to find an agent? Who is your agent? And how hard was it to sell the book?
So I have a fantastic agent. Her name is Stephanie Lieberman at Janklow and Nesbitt. And so what I did was I followed a lot of agents on Twitter, and I recommend that for anybody who wants to get into publishing. And they're wonderful. They'll tell you so you write the manuscript, then you query it to agents. And they're really good about saying, look, do your homework. I get all these queries and I can't sell this. So I made it a real point to research each agent. And Stephanie had a manuscript wish list. There's a site, manuscript wish list, and she was on there, and she wanted a high concept novel with, a bunch of characters and upmarket women's fiction. And so I queried slowly, but she absolutely loved the novel. And some agents came back to me and said, oh, I really love your writing. I just don't think I can sell this. And I don't take that as rejection. I'm glad, because you have to have an agent all in. So she and her team did a great job finding a publisher. I'm with Ann Spare at Ballantine, which is a imprint of Penguin Random House. She loved the book. And my favorite story about Ann Spare is when we first met, we did a Zoom call, and she dressed up in pajamas and jewelry, like, and it showed her enthusiasm for the book. And I loved it. And she got it. And we have a great working relationship. But, there was a little bit of rejection along the way. It's hard. It's, you spent all this time writing a book. It's dear to your heart. And it's like, well, this might not go. So, how
many rejections did you get?
I queried this one kind of slowly, but it was probably, I think it got requested about 12 times out of 20 queries. So
That's good.
But not all 12 agents wanted it. They just wanted to read it, but a few did want it. And
I'm interested in how you queried them. Did you query them through did you visit their websites and then query them through there?
Yes, okay. Because they all have different, some want 5 pages, some want 3 chapters, and you have to, and that's another thing they advise, go to our website, give me exactly what I want. That's just, I have my reasons for that. And so I did do that. But before I queried, I took a couple workshops about querying that literary agents ran. And I also took a workshop about what goes in the first chapter, and I took another one, what goes on the first page. So you wanted it
well equipped to begin with. Yeah,
I knew it was going to be hard, so I want to be on the best foot forward.
You bet. Is this something that you've always dreamed of doing?
Yes, I think I was I know I was a really big reader my whole life. Always reading. And I think like if you gravitate towards that world a little bit, and I was really interested in, you know, how authors approach their work, and finally I was like, oh, I started writing short stories in college. And when I was writing for the Republic, I would write short stories. And then I thought, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna dive off, and it's incredibly intimidating. You know, short stories are what, 20,000 words at the most,
Right.
more like 10,000. And it's like, oh, you're gonna write a 90,000 word novel, but you take it day by day.
That's good advice. And what gets you out of bed every morning?
My dog. um,
My dog's in the bed with me.
Yeah, my dog is in the bed with me. You know, hopefully she doesn't have to get up in the middle of the night. But no, Hemingway had some good advice that when you're writing, leave a little bit in the well for the next day so that you're thinking about what you want. And sometimes I do I get up very early, like at 4:30, and I'm excited to like rewrite this paragraph or develop this idea. I mean, it's not all, some days it's hard. Writing is really hard. So some days it's like, ugh, I don't want to do this and I have to. You know, it's problem solving. It's like doing math. You know, you're trying to figure out a plot point. But yeah, I get excited getting out of bed and working. Yeah.
And this is your very first novel. So what's next for you?
I'm working on the next novel. Can't say too much about it, but it is, again, it's high concept and it's a strong female character. So, yeah.
And what would you like readers to take away from the second ending?
I would like readers to, in this pandemic sort of winding down, and hopefully everybody's had a chance to evaluate, you know, where they are in life. And my hope is that they kind of go after their own dreams. And, you know, in the book, everybody has a different dream. Not everybody wants to be a pianist. And I just think, you know, you don't have to be like an expert at it, but just it's a day-to-day satisfaction. And I really hope people go after that and embrace it, because it makes all the difference in your life, you know?
Yes, I think your book will inspire people to do that.
Hope so.
Michelle Hoffman, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Doris. This was a lot of fun.